Hello, Belle, my boy. Hello, Tiny Josh. Hi. This thing's on good. It is. My mic is working too. I got some tea. I've got my fancy fucking copy of Terry Pratchett's Mort, hardcover, with silver foil stamped on top of it with the rare art. I love this book, man. It's so pretty. You never live that down. I know! I'm trying to just look past it. But, I honestly, before I hit live, I was like, okay, I've got my Discord ready. I just need to click OK there. I'm all set, right? And I look to the right and I see OBS and I'm still not live. And I go, fuck, not again. But I caught it. I caught it before I sent out the alert on Discord. So, yeah. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. So Dennis, hello. I've never read a book, but I love Terry Pratchett movies. Ooh, the BBC TV specials, Hawkfather, for example, from Terry Pratchett's Discworld novels. So good. I should really... Oh, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's all watch Hawkfather together tomorrow. Hello, Esther. Hello. By the way, this background, I made that in Unreal Engine. I actually made that for my game. To use as a background, because I wanted something cozy. It doesn't actually fit the mood of the game at all, but I like how it turned out, and so I figured I might as well just use it as a streaming background. I've watched all Terry Pratchett movies. I think I've watched most of them. I've watched Hawkfather. I've watched Going Postal. What was the other one? Der Bücherwurm. Ooh. Is the weather as shit in Munich as it is here? Yes. It's been raining. It should be snowing, but it is raining. By the way, is the music too loud? Is it okay? Is it a good volume? Perfect time to get comfortable? Yes. I debated if I should get a hot chocolate instead of a tea, but a hot chocolate would just make my mouth all sticky, and for reading, that's really not good. Even though it would be so much more cozy. But I've got my fuzziest, fluffiest, warmest... Well, it's not my warmest, but it's my most comfortable... cozy sweater on and sweatpants and yeah. Color of Magic. Oh, Color of Magic. I think that's the only one I haven't seen. How do you get your mouth sticky with hot chocky? I never do. Then your hot chocolate is super watery. Because mine is definitely thick. Anyways. How is everybody? Y'all holding up well? Are you in a Christmassy mood? Have you eaten anything great today? It's very good. Mm. It's not watery. Well then, you should know why it just makes your mouth sticky. Maybe different chocolate? Yeah, maybe. First weekend since my last day at my old job, but I'm okay. It feels odd to say I feel off. I'm not worried about Monday. You shouldn't be worried about Monday because, you know, it is what it is. Everything that could have been done has been done. It's just now is the time for the next step, and that shouldn't necessarily be anything scary. Right? Hello, Dr. Dino. Feliz Navidad. There we go. That's a bit better. Feliz Navidad. So, quick question. I need some answers. Is the music volume good? Yes or no? Music volume is good. Yes. Okay. Do you guys want to chat some more, or should I start reading? Oh, you know what? I know what I should be doing is throw up a picture of the book I'm reading. Terry Pratchett, Mort. Feliz Navidad. There's the image of the thing I'm actually using. Copy image link. Throw that on here. And can I import that? Just put... No? Okay. I'll just do it the other way. Desktop. Okay. There we go. It's going to ask, do you want my Mort image lib to potentially scroll? Your image lib? Do you have several pictures? So by the way, this is the actual cover of the book I'm holding right now. There's the book. With a few arts from the book. Oh! That's cool. Is there even art in the book? Or do you mean like the different covers? Oh man, book smells so good. New book smell and old book smell are both so good. Sorry, I'm just... Dude, I bought this on a whim, even though I really didn't have the money for it. But this hardcover copy, it makes me so happy every time I pull it out and have it in my hand. It's such a beautiful, lovely thing. Love the gold, the silver foil on it and everything. It's so good. What about middle of the road age book smell? Usually, I usually find that okay enough. Decent enough. You know, let's I'm gonna try a song radio instead of the playlist I'm playing. Maybe this one is a bit slightly more chill. We'll see. We might switch it around. But you know what? I'm just gonna get started. So today we are reading Terry Pratchett's Mort. This is kind of a cold reading because I've only read so much ahead, and it's been a while since I read it, so forgive me if I stumble over my words. Let's see, where are we? Hold on, I gotta tilt the book so I actually have some light to read it. Here we go. This is the bright candlelit room where the lifetimers are stored. Shelf upon shelf of them squat hourglasses, one for every living person, pouring their fine sand from the future into the past. The accumulated hiss of the falling grains makes the room roar like the sea. This is the owner of the room, stalking through it with a preoccupied air. His name is Death. But not any death. This is the Death whose particular sphere of operation is, well, not a sphere at all, but the Discworld, which is flat and rides on the back of 4 giant elephants who stand on the shell of the enormous star turtle Great Atuin, and which is bounded by a waterfall that cascades endlessly into space. Scientists have calculated that the chance of anything so patently absurd actually existing millions to one. But magicians have calculated that 1,000,000 to 1 chances crop up 9 times out of 10. Death clicks across the black and white tiled floor on toes of bone, muttering inside his cowl as his skeletal fingers count along the rows of busy hourglasses. Finally, he finds one that seems to satisfy him, lifts it carefully from its shelf, and carries it across to the nearest candle. He holds it so that the light glints off it, and stares at the little point of reflected brilliance. The steady gaze from those twinkling eye sockets encompasses the world turtle, sculling through the deeps of space, carapace scarred by comets and pitted by meteors. One day, even a great Atuin will die, Death knows. Now that would be a challenge. But the focus of his gaze dives onwards towards the blue-green magnificence of the Discworld itself, turning slowly under its tiny orbiting sun. Now it curves away towards the great mountain range called the Ram Tops. The Ram Tops are full of deep valleys and unexpected crags, and considerably more unexpected crags and considerably more geography than they know what to do with. They have their own peculiar weather, full of shrapnel rain and whiplash winds and permanent thunderstorms. Some people say it's all because the Ram Tops are the home of old, wild magic. Mind you, some people will say anything. Death blinks, adjusts for depth of vision. Now he sees the grassy country on the turn-wise slopes of the mountains. Now he sees a particular hillside. Now he sees a field. Now he sees a boy running. Now he watches. Now, in a voice like lead slabs being dropped on granite, he says, yes. Actually, quick question. Should I do Death's voice with an echo? Because in the movies, he definitely talks like this. I can also adjust it. Oh, for sure. So, I can do a bit less reverb or a bit more reverb, but probably less, right? So it just sounds a bit ominous. Yes. No. I can also pitch it down just a touch. Just a touch. Hold on, can I even see what I'm doing there? No, I cannot, but I can do... Yeah, there we go. Yes. No, I think that's better. Yes. Let me have a sip of my tea. There was no doubt that there was something magical in the soil of that hilly, broken area, which, because of the strange tint that it gave to the local flora, was known as the Octarine Grass Country. For example, it was one of the few places on the disk where plants produced reannual varieties. Reannuals are plants that grows backwards in time. You sow the seed this year, and they grow last year. Mort's family specialized in distilling the wine from reannual grapes. These were very powerful and much sought after by fortune tellers, since, of course, they enabled them to see the future. The only snag was that you got the hangover the morning before and had to drink a lot to get over it. Reannual growers tended to be big, serious men, much given to introspection and close examination of the calendar. A farmer who neglects to sow ordinary seeds only loses the crop, whereas anyone who forgets to sow seeds of a crop that has already been harvested 12 months prior, harvested 12 months before, risks disturbing the entire fabric of causality, not to mention acute embarrassment. It was also acutely embarrassing to Mort's family that the youngest son was not at all serious and had about the same talent for horticulture that you would find in a dead starfish. It wasn't that he was unhelpful, but he had the kind of vague, cheerful helpfulness that serious men soon learn to dread. There was something infectious, possibly even fatal about it. He was tall, red-haired, and freckled, with the sort of body that seems to be only marginally under its owner's control. It appeared to have been built out of knees. On this particular day, it was hurtling across the fields, waving its hands and yelling. Mort's father and uncle watched in Mort's father and uncle watched it disconsolately. Disconsolately, okay. Mort's father and uncle watched it disconsolately from the stone wall. "What I don't understand," said Father Legic, "is that the birds don't even fly away. I'd fly away if I saw you coming towards me." The human body is a wonderful thing. I mean, his legs go all over the place, but there's a fair turn of speed there." Mort reached the end of the furrow. An overfull wood pigeon lurched slowly out of his way. "His heart's in the right place, mind," said Legic carefully. Of course, there's the rest of him that didn't. Of course, 'tis the rest of him that isn't. He's clean about the house. Don't eat much," said Legic. "No, I can see that." Legic looked sideways at his brother, who was staring fixedly at the sky. "I did hear you'd got a place going up at your farm, Hamish," he said. "Got an apprentice in, didn't I?" Said Legic gloomily. Said Legic gloomily. "When was that, then?" "Yesterday," said his brother, lying with rattlesnake speed. "All signed and sealed. Sorry. Look, I got nothing against young Mort. See, he's a nice boy, as you could wish to meet. It's just that—" I know, said Legic. "He couldn't find his arse with both hands." They stared at the distant figure. It had fallen over. Some pigeons had waddled over to inspect it. "He's not stupid, mind," said Hamish. "Not what you'd call stupid." "There's a brain there, right?" Legic conceded. "Sometimes he starts thinking so hard you has to hit him round the head to get his attention. His granny taught him to read, see? I reckon it overheated his mind." Mort had got up and tripped over his robe. "You ought to see him to a trade," said Hamish, reflectively. "The priesthood, maybe. Or wizardry. They do a lot of reading, the wizards." They looked at each other. Into both their minds stole an inkling of what Mort might be capable of if he got his well-meaning hands on a book of magic. "All right," said Hamish hurriedly. "Something else, then. There must be lots of things he could turn his hand to." "He starts thinking too much, that's the trouble," said Legic. "Look at him now. You don't think about how to scare birds, you just does it. A normal boy, I mean." Hamish scratched his chin thoughtfully. "Could be someone else's problem," he said. Legic's expression did not alter, but there was a subtle change around his eyes. "How do you mean that?" he said. "There's the hiring fair at the Sheepridge next week. You set him as a apprentice, see, and there's no master'll have the job of knocking him into shape. 'Tis the law. Get him indentured and 'tis binding." Legic looked across the field at his son, who was examining a rock. "I wouldn't want anything to happen to him, mind," he said doubtfully. "We're quite fond of him, his mother and me. You get used to people." "It'd be for his own good, you see. I'll make a man of him." Well, there's certainly plenty of raw material," sighed Legic. Mort was getting interested in the rock. It had curly shells in it, relics of the early days of the world when the Creator had made creatures out of stone. No one knew why. Mort was interested in lots of things. Why people's teeth fitted together so neatly, for example. He'd given that one a lot of thought. Then there was the puzzle of why the sun came out during the day instead of at night when the light would come in useful. He knew the standard explanation, which somehow didn't seem satisfying. In short, Mort was one of those people who were more dangerous than a bag full of rattlesnakes. He was determined to discover the underlying logic behind the universe, which was going to be hard, because there wasn't one. The creator had a lot of remarkably good ideas when he put the world together, but making it understandable hadn't been one of them. Tragic heroes always moan when the gods take an interest in them, but it's the people the gods ignore who get the really tough deals. His father was yelling at him, as usual. Mort threw the rock at a pigeon, which was almost too full to lurch out of the way, and wandered back across the field. And that was why Mort and his father walked down through the mountains into Sheepridge on Hawkswatch Eve. Christmas. With Mort's rather sparse possessions in a sack on the back of a donkey. Hold on. Of a donkey. Let me pause here. I need to drink anyways.
Damn 4 clean years.
4 freaking years, Bennett. That is amazing. Thank you. Thank you, man. 4 freaking years. Holy shit, man. God damn, thank you so much. Can't believe you stuck around that long. I wouldn't have. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Thank you. All right, I'll continue, right? The town wasn't much more than 4 sides to a cobbled square, lined with shops that provided all the service industry of the farming community. After 5 minutes, Mort came out of the tailor's wearing a loosely fitting brown garment of imprecise function, which had been understandably unclaimed by a previous owner and had plenty of room for him to grow, on the assumption that he would grow into a 19-legged elephant. His father regarded him critically. Very nice, he said. For the money. It itches, said Mort. I think there's things in here with me. There's thousands of lads in the world. Would be very thankful for a nice warm... Lezek paused and gave up. A garment like that, my lad. I could share it with them? Mort said hopefully. Oh, you've got to look smart, said Lezek severely. You've got to make an impression, stand out in the crowd. There was no doubt about it. He would. They set out... Sorry. There was no doubt about that. He would. They set out among the throng crowding the square, each listening to his own thoughts. Usually, Mort enjoyed visiting the town, with its cosmopolitan atmosphere and strange dialects from villages as far away as 5, even 10 miles. But this time, he felt unpleasantly apprehensive, as if he could remember something that hadn't happened yet. The fair seemed to work like this. Men looking for work stood in ragged lines in the center of the square. Many of them sported little symbols in their hats to tell the world the kind of work they were trained in. Shepherds wore a wisp of wool, carters a hank of horsehair, interior decorators a strip of rather interesting Hessian wall covering, and so on. The boys seeking apprenticeships were clustered on the hub side of the square. You just go and stand there and someone comes and offers you an apprenticeship, said Lezek, his voice trimmed with uncertainty. If they like the look of you, that is. How do they do that? Said Mort. Well, said Lezek, and paused. Hamish hadn't explained about this bit. He drew on his limited knowledge of the marketplace, which was restricted to livestock sales, and ventured, suppose they count your teeth and that. Make sure you don't wheeze at your feet. And make sure you don't wheeze and your feet are all right. I shouldn't let on about the reading. That unsettles people. And then what? Said Mort. Then you go and learn a trade, said Lezek. What trade in particular? Well, carpentry's a good one. Ležek hesitated. Or thievery. Someone's got to do it. Mort looked at his feet. He was dutiful. He was a dutiful son when he remembered, and if so, oh my God, sorry. Mort looked at his feet. He was a dutiful son when he remembered, and if being an apprentice was what was expected of him, then he was determined to be a good one. Carpentry didn't sound very promising, though wood had a stubborn life of its own, and a tendency to split. And official thieves were rare in the Ramtops, where people weren't rich enough to afford them. All right, he said eventually. I'll go and give it a try, but what happens if I don't get apprenticed? Ležek scratched his head. I don't know, he said. I expect you just wait until the end of the fair. At midnight, I suppose. And now midnight approached. A light frost began to crisp the cobblestones. In the ornamental clock tower that overlooked the square, a couple of delicately carved little automatons whirred out of trapdoors in the clock face and struck the quarter hour. 15 minutes to midnight. Mort shivered, but the crimson fire of shame and stubbornness flared up inside him, hotter than the slopes of hell. He blew on his fingers for something to do and stared up at the freezing sky, trying to avoid the stares of the few stragglers among what remained of the fair. Most of the stall keepers had packed up and gone. Even the hot meat pie man had stopped crying his wares and, with no regard for personal safety, was eating one. The last of Mort's fellow hopefuls had vanished hours ago. He was a wall-eyed young man with a stoop and a running nose, and Sheepbridge's one licensed beggar had pronounced him to be ideal material. The lad on the other side of Mort had gone off to be a toy maker. One by one they had trooped off. The masons, the farriers, the assassins, the mercers, coopers, hoodwinkers, and ploughmen. In a few minutes it would be the new year, and 100 boys would be starting out hopefully on their careers, new worthwhile lives and useful service rolling out in front of them. Mort wondered miserably why he hadn't been picked. He tried to look respectable and had looked all prospective masters squarely in the eye to impress them with his excellent nature and extremely likable qualities. This didn't seem to have the right effect. Would you like a hot meat pie? Said his father. No. Are you selling them cheap? No, thank you. Oh. Ležek hesitated. I could ask the man if he wants an apprentice, he said hopefully. Very reliable in the catering trade. I don't think he does, said Mort. No, probably not, said Ležek. Bit of a one-man business, I expect. He's gone now, anyway. I tell you what, I'll save you a bit of mine. I don't actually feel very hungry, Dad. There's hardly any gristle. No, but thanks all the same. Oh. Ležek deflated a little. He danced about a bit to stamp some life back into his feet, and whistled a few tuneless bars between his teeth. He felt he ought to say something, to offer some kind of advice, to point out that life had its ups and downs, to put his arm around his son's shoulder and talk expansively about the world is a funny old place where one should never, metaphorically speaking, be so proud as to turn down the offer of a perfectly good hot meat pie. They were alone now. The frosts, the last of the year, tightened its grip on the stones. High in the tower, above them a cogged wheel went clonk, tripped a lever, released a ratchet, and let a heavy lead weight drip down. There was a dreadful metallic wheezing noise, and the trapdoors in the clock face slid open, releasing the clockwork men, swinging their hammers jerkily as if they were afflicted with robotic arthritis. They began to ring in a new day. Well, that's it, said Ležek hopefully.
Shiny.
Ooh, kitten, thank you! Holy shit, 1,000 bits! Thank you so much. God damn. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Where was I? I was at the point where I needed to drink another sip of tea. Well, that's it, said Lezic hopefully. They'd have to find somewhere to sleep. Hawkswatch night was no time to be walking in the mountains. Perhaps there was a stable somewhere. It's not midnight until the last stroke, said Mort distantly. Lezic shrugged. The sheer strength of Mort's obstinacy was defeating him. All right, he said. Well, we'll wait then. And then they heard the clip-clop of hooves, which boomed rather than... Well, and then they heard the clip-clop of hooves, which boomed rather more loudly around the chilly square than common acoustics should really allow. In fact, clip-clop was an astonishingly inaccurate word for the kind of noise which rattled around Mort's head. Clip-clop suggested a rather jolly little pony, quite possibly wearing a straw hat with holes cut out for its ears. An edge to this sound made it very clear that straw hats weren't an option. The horse entered the square by the Hup Road, steam curling off its huge damp white flanks, and sparks striking up from the cobbles beneath it. It trotted proudly, like a war charger. It was definitely not wearing a straw hat. The tall figure on its back was wrapped up against the cold. When the horse reached the center of the square, the rider dismounted, slowly, and fumbled with something behind the saddle. Eventually he, or she, produced a nosebag, fastened it over the horse's ears, and gave it a friendly pat on the neck. The air took on a thick, greasy feel, and the deep shadows around Mort became edged with blue and purple rainbows. The rider strode towards him, black cloak billowing and feet making little clicking sounds on the cobbles. They were the only noises. Silence clamped down on the square like great drifts of cotton wool. The impressive effect was rather spoiled by a patch of ice. Oh, bugger. It wasn't exactly a voice. The words were there, all right, but they arrived in Mort's head without bothering to pass through his ears. He rushed forward to help the fallen figure and found himself grabbing hold of a hand that was nothing more than polished bone, smooth and rather yellowed like an old billiard ball. The figure's hood fell back, and a naked skull turned its empty eye sockets toward him. Not quite empty, though. Deep within them, as though they were windows looking across the gulfs of space, were two tiny blue stars. It occurred to Mort that he ought to feel horrified, so he was slightly shocked to find that he wasn't. It was a skeleton sitting in front of him, rubbing its knees and grumbling, but it was a live one, curiously impressive, but not some strange... rubbing its knees, but it was a live one. Curiously impressive, but not, for some strange reason, very frightening. "Thank you, boy," said the skull. "What is your name?" Said Mort. "Mortimer, sir. They call me Mort." "What a coincidence," said the skull. "Help me up, please." I don't know what kind of voice to use for death yet. The figure rose unsteadily, brushed itself down. Now Mort could see there was a heavy belt around its waist, from which was slung a white-handled sword. "I hope you're not hurt, sir," he said politely. The skull grinned. Of course, Mort thought, it hasn't much of a choice. Hold on, I gotta reposition myself. There we go, this is better. Where was I? The skull grins. Of course, Mort thought. It hasn't much of a choice. No harm done, I'm sure. Actually, hold on. Let's find a voice for death. Yes. Maybe death. I don't know. What would death sound like? I don't know. Maybe he's kind of like that. Quiet. Almost emotionless. But with a curiosity. I don't know. No harm done, I'm sure. Correct. Full marks for observation. Correct. Full marks. You know what? Let's look for some inspiration real quick. Hog father. Death. Speech.
You were sure I was going to survive, were you?
I was quite confident.
I was quite confident.
Good. Now, tell me...
What would have happened if you hadn't saved him?
What would have happened if you hadn't saved him?
The sun would not have risen.
The sun would not have
Then what
risen.
would have happened?
Okay, got it. The sun would not have risen. Got it. No harm done, I'm sure. The skull looked around and seemed to see Lejek, who appeared to be frozen to the spot for the first time. Mort thought an explanation was called for. My father, he said, trying to move protectively in front of Exhibit A without causing any offense. Excuse me, sir, but are you deaf? Correct. Full marks for observation, that boy. Mort swallowed. My father is a good man, he said. He thought for a while and added, quite good. I'd rather you left him alone, if it's all the same to you. I don't know what you have done to him, but I'd like you to stop it. No offense, man. Death stepped back, his skull on one side. I have merely put us outside time for a moment, he said. He will see and hear nothing that disturbs him. No, boy, it was you I came for. Me? You are here seeking employment? Light dawned on Mort. You are looking for an apprentice? He said. The eye sockets turned towards him, their actinic actinic? Wow. The eye sockets turned towards him, their actinic pinpoints flaring. Of course. Death waved a bony hand. There was a wash of purple light, a sort of visible pop, and Lejek unfroze. Above his head, the clockwork automatons got on with their job of proclaiming midnight, as time was allowed to come creeping back. Lejek blinked. I didn't see you there for a minute, he said. Sorry, mine must have been elsewhere. I was offering your boy a position, said Death. I trust that meets with your approval. What was your job again? Said Lejek, talking to a black-robed skeleton without showing even a flicker of surprise. I usher souls into the next world, said Death. Ah, said Lejek. Of course, sorry. I should have guessed. From the clothes. Very necessary work, very steady. Established business? I have been going for some time, yes, said Death. Good. I never really thought of it as a job for Mort, you know, but it's good work. Always very reliable. What's your name? Death. Dad, said Mort urgently. Can't say I recognize the firm, said Lejek. Where are you based exactly? From the uttermost depths of the sea to the heights where even the ego may not go, said Death. That's fair enough, nodded Lejek. Well, Dad, said Mort, pulling at his father's coat. Death laid a hand on Mort's shoulder. What your father sees and hears is not what you see and hear, he said. Do not worry him. Do you think he would want to see me in the flesh, as it were? But your death, said Mort. You go around killing people. I? Kill? Said Death, obviously offended. Certainly not. People get killed. That's their business. I just take over from then on. After all, I'd be a bloody stupid world. It'd be a bloody stupid world if people got killed without dying, wouldn't it? Well, yes, said Mort doubtfully. Mort had never heard the word intrigued. It was not in regular use in the family vocabulary, but a spark in his soul told him that there was something weird and fascinating, and not entirely horrible, and that if he let this moment go, he'd spend the rest of his life regretting it. And he remembered the humiliations of the day, and the long walk back home. He began. I don't have to die to get the job, do I? Being dead is not compulsory. And the bones? Not if you don't want to. Sorry. Mort breathed out again. It had been starting to prey on his mind. If Father says it's all right, he said. They looked at Ležek, who was scratching his beard. How do you feel about this, Mort? He said, with the brittle brightness of a fever victim. It's not everyone's idea of an occupation. It's not what I had in mind, I admit. But they do say the undertaking is an honor profession. It's your choice. Undertaking, said Mort. Death nodded and raised his finger to his lips in a conspirational gesture. It's interesting, said Mort slowly. I think I'd like to try it. Where do you say your business was? Said Ležek. Is it far? No further than the thickness of a shadow, said Death. Where the first primal call was, there was I also. Where man is, there am I. When the last life crawls under freezing stars, there will I be. Ah, said Ležek. You get about a bit then. He looked puzzled, like a man struggling to remember something important and then obviously gave up. Death patted him on the shoulder in a friendly fashion and turned to Mort. Have you any possessions, boy? Yes, said Mort, and then remembered. Only I think he left them in the shop. Dad, we left the sack in the clothes shop. I'll be shut. It'll be shut, said Ležek. Shops don't open on Hogswatch Day. I'll have to go back the day after tomorrow. Well, tomorrow now. It is of little account, said Death. We will leave now. No doubt I will have business here soon enough. Sorry? I hope you'll be able to drop in and see us soon, said Ležek. He seemed to be struggling with his thoughts. I'm not sure that will be a good idea, said Mort. Well, goodbye, lad, said Ležek. You're to do what you're told, you understand? And, excuse me, sir, do you have a son? Death looked rather taken aback. No, I have no sons. I'll just have a last word with my boy, if you no objection. Then I will go and see to the horse, said Death, with more than normal tact. With more than normal tact? Okay. Ležek put his arm around his son's shoulders, with some difficulty in view of the difference in height, and gently propelled him across the square. Mort, you know your Uncle Hamish told me about this prenticing business, he whispered. He whispered. Mort, you know your Uncle Hamish told me about this prenticing business, he whispered. Yes? Well, he told me something else. The old man confided. He said it's not unknown for an apprentice to inherit his master's business. What do you think of that, then? I'm not sure, said Mort.
It's worth thinking about,
said Lezak.
I am thinking about it, Father. Many a young lad has started out that way. Hamish said he makes himself useful, earns his father's confidence, and, well, earns his master's confidence, and, well, if there's any daughters in the house, did Mr. say anything about daughters?
Mr. who?
Mr. Your new father. Your new master.
Why do I say father every time?
Your new master.
Oh, him.
No, I don't think so,
said Mort slowly. I don't think he's the marrying type.
Many a keen young man owes his advancements to his nuptials,
said Lezak. He does?
Mort, I don't think you're really listening.
What? Lezak came to a halt on the frosty cobbles and spun the boy around to face him.
You're really going to have to do better than this, he said. Don't you understand, boy? If you're going to amount to anything in this world, then you've got to listen. I'm your father telling you these things.
Mort looked down at his father's face. He wanted to say a lot of things. He wanted to say how much he loved him, how worried he was. He wanted to ask what his father really thought he'd just seen and heard. He wanted to say that he felt as though he stepped on a molehill and found that it was really a volcano. He wanted to ask what nuptials meant. What he actually said was, "Yes, thank you. I'd better be going. I'll try to write you a letter."
There's bound to be some person who can read it to us,
said Lezak.
Goodbye, Mort.
He blew his nose. Goodbye, Dad. I'll come back to visit, said Mort. Death coughed tactfully, although it sounded like the pistol crack of an ancient beam full of Death Watch beetle. We had better be going, he said. Hop up, Mort. As Mort scrambled behind the ornate silver saddle, Death leaned down and shook Lezak's hand. Thank you, he said.
He's a good lad at heart,
said Lezak.
A bit dreamy, that's all. I suppose we're all young ones.
Death considered this. No, he said.
I don't think so.
He gathered up the reins and turned the horse towards the rim road. From his perch behind the black-robed figure, Mort waved desperately. Lezak waved back. Then, as the horse and its two riders disappeared from view, he lowered his hand and looked at it. The handshake. It had felt strange, but somehow he couldn't remember exactly why. Mort listened to the clatter of stone under the horse's hooves. Then there was the soft thud of packed earth as they reached the road, and then there was nothing at all. He looked down and saw the landscape spread out below him, the night etched with moonlight silver. If he fell off, the only thing he'd hit was air. He redoubled his grip on the saddle. Then Death said, "Are you hungry, boy?" Yes, sir." The words came straight from his stomach without the intervention of his brain. Death nodded and reined in the horse. It stood on the air, the great circular panorama of the disk glittering... Sorry, let me read that again. Death nodded and reined in the horse. It stood on the air, the great circular panorama of the disk glittering below it. Here and there, a city was an orange glow. In the warm seas nearer the rim, there was a hint of phosphorescence. In some of the deep valleys, the trapped daylight of the disk, which is slow and slightly heavy. Oh, yeah, there's an asterisk here. Should I read the asterisk as well? Okay. Slightly heavy, asterisk. Practically anything can go faster than disk light, which is lazy and tame, unlike ordinary light. The only thing known to go faster than ordinary light is monarchy, according to the philosopher Lai Tin Weedle. He reasoned like this. You can't have more than one king, and tradition demands that there is no gap between kings. So when a king dies, the succession must therefore pass to the heir instantaneously. Presumably, he said, there must be some cause succession... Presumably, he said, there must be some elementary particles, kingons, or possibly queons, that do this job. But, of course, succession sometimes fails if, mid-flight, they strike an antiparticle or republicon. His ambitious plans to use his discovery to send messages involving the careful torturing of a small king in order to modulate the signal were never fully expounded because, at that point, the bar closed. Was evaporating like silver steam. I should probably not jump down for the asterisk when it's in the middle of a sentence like that. So let me read the sentence again. In some of the deep valleys, the trapped daylight of the disk, which is slow and slightly heavy, asterisk, was evaporating like silver steam. But it was outshone by the glow that rose towards the stars from the rim itself. Vast streamers of light shimmered and glittered across the night. Great golden walls surrounded the world.
It's beautiful, said Mort softly. What is it?
The sun is under the disk, said Death.
Is it like this every night?
Every night. Nature's like that.
Doesn't anyone know?
Me, you, the gods. Good, is it?
Gosh.
Death leaned over the saddle and looked down at the kingdoms of the world. I don't know about you, but I could use a murder. I don't know about you, but I could murder Curry.
Oh, God damn it, I fucked it up. God damn it.
I don't know about you, but I could murder a Curry.
Such a good joke. God damn it.
Although it was well after midnight, the twin city of Ankh-Morpork was roaring with life. Mort had thought Sheepbridge looked busy, but compared to the turmoil of the street around him, the town was, well, a morgue. Sorry? I've just noticed that my music is gone. Where was I? Compared to the turmoil of the street around him, the town was, well, a morgue. Poets have tried to describe Ankh-Morpork. They have failed. Perhaps it's the sheer zestful vitality of the place, or maybe it's just that a city with 1 million inhabitants and no sewers is rather robust for poets who prefer daffodils, and no wonder. So, let's just say that Ankh-Morpork is as full of life as an old cheese on a hot day, as loud as a curse in a cathedral, as bright as an oil slick, as colorful as a bruise, and as full of activity, industry, bustle, and sheer exuberant busyness as a dead dog on a termite mound. There were temples, their doors wide open, filling the streets with the sounds of gongs, cymbals, and, in the case of some of the more conservative fundamentalist religions, the brief screams of the victims. There were shops whose strange wares spilled out onto the pavement. There seemed to be rather a lot of friendly young ladies who couldn't afford many clothes. There were flares and jugglers and assorted sellers of instant transcendence. And Death stalked through it all. Mort had half expected him to pass through the crowds like smoke, but it wasn't like that at all. The simple truth was that wherever Death walked, people just drifted out of the way. It didn't work like that for Mort. The crowds that gently parted for his new master closed again just in time to get in his way. His toes got trodden on, his ribs were bruised, people kept trying to sell him unpleasant spices and suggestively shaped vegetables, and a rather elderly lady said against all the evidence that he looked a well-set-up young lad who would like a nice time. He thanked her very much, and said that he hoped he was having a nice time already. Death reached the street corner. The light from the flares raising brilliantly. Death reached the street corner. The light from the flares raising brilliant highlights on the polished dome of his skull, and sniffed the air. A drunk staggered up and without quite realizing why made... Huh? A drunk staggered up and without quite realizing why made a slight detour in his erratic passage for no visible reason. "This is the city, boy," said Death. "What do you think?" "It's very big," said Mort uncertainly. "I mean, why does everyone want to live all squeezed together like this?" Death shrugged. "I like it. It's full of life." "Sir?" "Yes?" "What's a curry?" The blue fires flared deep in the eyes of Death. "Have you ever bitten a red-hot ice cube?" "No, sir." "Curries like that." "Sir?" "Yes?" Mort swallowed hard. "Excuse me, sir, but my dad said if I don't understand, I was to ask questions, sir?" "Very commendable," said Death. Sir, said Death. He set off down a side street, the crowds parting in front of him like random molecules. "Well, sir, I can't help noticing the point is, well, the plain fact of it, sir, is..." "Out with it, boy." "How can you eat things, sir?" Death pulled up short so that Mort walked into him. When the boy started to speak, he waved him into silence. He appeared to be listening to something. "There are times, you know, when I get really upset." He turned on one heel and set off down an alleyway at high speed, his cloak flying out behind him. The alley wound between dark walls and sleeping buildings, not so much a thoroughfare as a meandering gap. Death stopped by a decrepit water butt and plunged his arm in at full length, wringing out a small sack with a brick tied to it. He drew his sword, a line of flickering blue fire in the darkness, and sliced through the string. "I get very angry indeed," he said. He appended the sack, and Mort watched the pathetic scraps of sodden fur slide out, to lie in their spreading puddle on the cobbles. Death reached out with his white fingers and stroked them gently. After a while, something like grey smoke curled up from the kittens and formed 3 small cat-shaped clouds in the air. They billowed occasionally, unsure of their shape, and blinked at Mort with puzzled grey eyes. When he tried to touch one, his hand went straight through it and tingled. "You don't see people at their best in this job," said Death. He blew on a kitten, sending it gently tumbling. Its meow of complaint sounded as though it had come from a long way away via a tin tube. "They're souls, aren't they?" said Mort. "What do people look like?" "People-shaped. It's basically all down to the characteristic morphogenic field." He sighed like the swish of a shroud, picked the kittens out of the air, and carefully stowed them away somewhere in the dark recesses of his robe. He stood up. "Curry time," he said. Hold on. How much more do we have here? Alright, let's do curry time, and then we're gonna call it quits here for the moment. At least with reading. I'm gonna prepare my sound effect there. It's really difficult to hold the book open with one hand and do the thing with the other. Was crowded in the curry gardens on the corner of God Street and Blood Alley, but only with the cream of society. At least with those people who were found floating on the top and who therefore it's wisest to call the cream. Fragrant bushes planted among the tables nearly concealed the basic smell of the city itself, which has been likened to the nasal equivalent of a foghorn. Mort ate ravenously, but curbed his curiosity and didn't see how death could possibly be eating anything. The food was there to start with, and wasn't there later, so presumably something must have happened in between. Mort got the feeling that death wasn't really used to all this, but was doing it to put him at ease. To put him at his ease, sorry. Mort got the feeling that death wasn't really used to all this, but was doing it to put him at his ease, like an elderly bachelor uncle who had been landed with his nephew for a holiday and is terrified of getting it wrong. The other diners didn't take much notice, even when Death leaned back and lit a rather fine pipe. Someone with smoke curling out of their eye sockets takes some ignoring, but everyone managed it. "Is it magic?" said Mort. "What do you think? Am I really here, boy?" "Yes," said Mort slowly. I've watched people. They look at you, but they don't see you, I think. You do something to their minds." Death shook his head. "They do it all themselves. There's no magic. People can see me, they simply won't allow themselves to do it. Until it's time, of course. Wizards can see me, and cats. But your average human? No. Never." He blew a smoke ring at the sky and added, "Strange, but true." Mort watched the smoke ring wobble into the sky and drift away towards the river. "I can see you," he said. "That's different." The Clatchian waiter arrived with a bill and placed it in front of Death. The man was squat and brown, with a hairstyle like a coconut gone nova, and his round face creased into a puzzled frown when Death nodded politely to him. He shook his head like someone trying to dislodge soap from his ears, and walked away. Death reached into the depths of his robe and brought out a large leather bag full of assorted copper coinage, most of it blue and green with age. He inspected the bill carefully. Then he counted out a dozen coins. "Come, we must go." Mort trotted along behind him as he stalked out of the garden and into the street, which was still fairly busy, even though there were the first suggestions of dawn on the horizon. "What are we going to do now?" "Buy you some new clothes." "These were new today. Yesterday, I mean." "Really?" "Father said the shop was famous for its budget clothing," said Mort, running to keep up. "It certainly adds a new terror to property." They turned into a wider street, leading into a more affluent part of the city. The torches were closer together and the middens further apart. There were no stalls and alley corner traders here, but proper buildings with signs hanging outside. They weren't mere shops, they were emporia. They had purveyors in them, and chairs, and spittoons. Most of them were open even at this time of night, because the average Ankian trader can't sleep for thinking of the money he's not making. "Doesn't anyone ever go to bed around here?" said Mort. "This is a city," said Death, and pushed open the door of a clothing store. When they came out 20 minutes later, Mort was wearing a neatly fitting black robe with faint silver embroidery, and the shopkeeper was looking at a handful of antique copper coins and wondering precisely how he came to have them. "How do you get all these coins?" asked Mort. "In pairs." An all-night barber sheared Mort's hair into the latest fashion among the city's young bloods, while Death relaxed in the next chair, humming to himself. Much to his surprise, he felt in a good humor. In fact, after a while, he pushed his hood back and glanced up at the barber's apprentice, who tied a towel around his neck, and in that unseeing, hypnotized way that Mort was coming to recognize, and said, "A splash of toilet water and a polish, my good man." An elderly wizard having a beard trim on the other side stiffened when he heard those somber, leaden tones and swung around. He blanched and muttered a few protective incantations after Death turned, very slowly, for maximum effect, and treated him to a grin. A few minutes later, feeling rather self-conscious and chilly around the ears, Mort was heading back towards the stables, where Death had lodged his horse. He tried an experimental swagger. He felt his new suit and haircut rather demanded it. It didn't quite work. And that's where I'm gonna stop here for today. Alright, put a bookmark in. Whew! It is difficult to read, man. Like with the mic in the place and the finger on the effects button and I don't have space and it's really difficult. Oh man, what a lovely book. I love Death. Death is one of my favorite characters. I just wish I had a better voice for him. I can't think of a voice that I can do that would suit him. I think my voice just sounds too young for him. It needs to be old, warm, and sophisticated. And that's just not something I can produce. Oh, those are some great pictures. For Death? Yeah. I'm barely in the colors of magic, which I hope is the first. The first what? Because I didn't do too much research. Honestly, with Discworld novels, it doesn't really matter which one you pick up. There's no straight timeline that goes through. It's kind of like all happening at the same time, more or less. Death can be young and sexy. Yeah, but that's not something I have in my voice either. What the? Cactus eating? The fuck? What is that kissing? Anyways, what did you guys think of... What did you guys think of this stream idea? I think next time I'm gonna... This was like super spontaneous for me, but I think next time I'm gonna prepare by just reading ahead as much as I want to read. And then I will stumble less, hopefully. But yeah. I liked it. Good. I wish I had a way to, like, hold the book in front of me so I don't have to hold it in my hands, because that makes it really difficult. So chill, perfect for after work. Yeah. I didn't really feel like doing games today. I'm all gamed out, man. Also, there's really not much that's interesting me. Like the one thing that I am interested in is the new Indiana Jones game, because that seems like it would be really fun and has got great ratings. But that's not coming out for until next week. I think it comes out Thursday next week. And also I can't afford it anyways. But that's kind of the only one that remains this year. And so everything else is just kind of, you know. Let's see. Granny, top sellers. Popular upcoming. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Actually, Indiana Jones 4, the one with the aliens, for a long time was going to be Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The story that they're telling in that game was, for a good long while, the one they considered filming for Indiana Jones 4. And then they decided to go with the crystal skulls instead. But yeah, I'm just looking at the Steam page. And it looks interesting. Much to our chagrin, indubitably. Yeah, it was a weird choice. And just so much CGI. Like, painfully so. The freaking monkey scene? Oh my god. I don't know. I hadn't seen the old Indiana Jones movies in a long time. I think I only saw them once when I was a kid. And, you know, all the stunts and everything that's happening didn't seem as outlandish to me as when I saw Indy 4 in the cinema. Because all the stunts happening there was like, he's so dead. He's so dead. But I believe I saw some scenes from the other movies, and some of the stunts were equally as outlandish as like going over like 5 different waterfalls in a bathtub or whatever the fuck it was. What do you mean old? They're new? Yeah, Indiana Jones 4 is the newest. Wait, didn't they make another one? Indy 5? Hold on, Indiana Jones 5? The Dial of Destiny. Yeah, so there's 5. There's 2 more. 4 and 5. Also shit. Yes, it has pretty bad ratings. Not atrocious, but pretty bad. 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb. From an Indiana Jones movie, you would expect there to be more, because it's such a... oh, Google ratings 3.6 out of 5. Such a long history to it, right? You'd think there would be more goodwill, but I think they kind of ruined that with the crystal skulls. At the time, when it came out, I thought it was just ridiculous as a hook. Aliens, you know? But, because every other indie movie is all like very grounded and based, and you could imagine that being a thing, like an old artifact that, you know, some people suppose is the Holy Grail or whatever, but you know, it might just be an old artifact. But the reveal of the ending of 4, man, was I pissed in the cinema. I think with everything I know now, if the movie were to come out next year, I would be less upset by it. It would seem more believable to me, but still outlandish. Also, shit, I was enjoying the stream. What do you mean, shit? Are you not enjoying the stream anymore? Shit was about the 5th movie. You already read that message. Oh, okay, I see. My thoughts are over the place. I was into your streams. Thank you. I always enjoy having you. God, tea is such a good thing, man. So wonderful. Also, it's crazy to me that all teas, other than, you know, fruit teas and all that stuff, but, you know, tea, comes from a singular plant. Black teas, green teas, oolong, pu'er, what else? White tea, even. Those all come from the same exact plant, just harvested at different times with different methods and different methods of curing or fermenting or drying. Just levels of oxidation. That too. It's magical. It is. What a great plant. I wonder what a fresh tea plant smells like. Because it has to be aromatic for someone to go around and figure, hey, this smells tasty. Let me chew on the leaves a little bit and then feel like, oh, damn, this actually is kind of tasty. Let's make a tea out of that. I bet it smells good. If I ever make it to Japan, I kind of want to visit one of the tea tea fields, plantains, tea. What's the word for it? You just make herbal teas with herbs. Those are not teas, though. Those are infusions, if we're being pedantic. A tea is only a tea when it uses leaves of the tea plant. But that's the super pedantic definition. Everything else is an infusion. Not all of them smell nice. I mean, it's all the same plant, though. There's no, like, variations. It's the same exact plant. Oh yeah, I've seen a headline now several times of people and scientists suspecting there's a 9th planet in our solar system that is super far out. So we haven't really gotten pictures of it. And it's rather small and dark. But it is a new one, well, not new, but you know, a planet, Planet X. Yes, pretty much. What would you guys call that planet? Plantation, that's the word. Don't talk to me of planets. I knew it. The person who looked at bread and went, lovely. Cook it again. Voila. Toast. Genius. I think toast came to be because someone just wanted warm bread after it had cooled down and left it in there just a touch too long, and so it started to crisp up and they were like, holy shit, this is great. It's my personal theory. Is there another Greek/Roman god we could borrow for this planet? Maybe a small one, often forgotten, often unseen? Lists of Greek gods. Kronos? God of time, but that feels too important for a small, tiny little planet that we didn't even know existed up until a few decades ago. And we still haven't seen, just only seen the effects of. An unseen one. Hold on. Unseen in Greek.
Aoratos.
Aoratos. That's a nice name for it, right? The unseen one, Aoratos. Nourishment. Demeter, goddess of grain, agriculture, harvest, growth, and nourishment. Demeter, whose Roman counterpart is Ceres, is a daughter of Cronus and Rhea. Right, let's do Roman gods. Lists of Roman gods. Banquet of the Gods, at which they appear as images seated on couches as if present and presenting the stirring 12 gods into Augustia, balanced pairs. Jupiter, Juno, Neptune, Minerva. Well, Minerva might be a good one. Neptune, Minerva? Minerva, that's perfect! We have Jupiter and Juno, Mars and Venus, Apollo and Diana, Vulcan and Vesta, Mercury and Ceres. So Neptune, who's equally far out, and Minerva? That might work. Roman goddess of wisdom, justice, law, victory, and the sponsor of arts, trade, and strategy. She's also a goddess of warfare, though with a focus on strategic warfare rather than the violence of gods such as Mars. Beginning in the 2nd century BC, the Romans equated her with the Greek goddess Athena. Minerva is one of the 3 Roman deities in Capitoline Triad, along with Jupiter and Juno. I vote Minerva. Haumea? What's Haumea? Haumea, unusual dwarf planet orbiting the Sun in the Kuiper belt beyond Pluto. Was discovered in 2003. A team of American astronomers. Originally called 2003 EL61, Haumea is named for the Hawaiian goddess of birth and fertility. That's a lovely name. There's an asteroid called Minerva. It's taken. Dang it. Why would you call a freaking asteroid after a Roman goddess? Asteroid is way too unimportant unless it is large enough to crash into us and kill us all. then okay, sure. Especially if it's the goddess of war strategy. That would be kind of perfect. But, yeah, I doubt it. I mean... Hold on, let's see. Minerva asteroid. 93 Minerva. Large trinary main belt asteroid. It's a C-type asteroid, meaning that it has a dark surface and possibly a primitive carbonaceous composition. It was discovered by J.C. Watson in 1867. Estimated diameter of 150 kilometers. Okay, that's pretty decently sized. It's like a city. The size of a city. Why not? Poor asteroid. It just feels like wasting a name there. If you can give it to a planetoid instead. Oh yeah, I can probably take this away now. And probably switch to... switch to just chatting, since that's what we're doing. Done. We finished reading. I can't believe I read for an hour straight. No wonder my concentration was gone after towards the end there, and I started making more and more mistakes. Next time I'm gonna prepare better. I'm gonna take the full dose of my Ritalin instead of half, and I'm gonna pre-read what I'm gonna read. That should help. There's a dwarf planet called Make Make, which makes me giggle, and Gong Gong. Those are great names. Is it? There it is. You said it right! Yeah. It's clearly not make. It's obviously make. I mean, come on. I did not. Oh, okay, fair enough. Maybe not that obviously. Santa baby. Mana, 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 na. Still no definitive evidence of a Planet 9. I feel like an idiot now, don't worry about it. I I tend to, not always, but I tend to read obscure names in chat when someone pops in and has a weird name the correct way the very first time. Because I cannot count how many people said, "Oh my god, you said my name right, that almost never happens." So maybe that's why. Maybe I just have a knack for reading names properly. But, you know, I'm just guessing if it's something I've never seen before. But Make Make looks Hawaiian to me, so I figured, yeah, it's probably Hawaiian. Used to pronounce Hermione as Hermy1. So when I read the Harry Potter books as a kid, those are, by the way, those were the first books I read in English, but the first two I've read in German. And how old was it? Like 7, 8 years old or something? And I did, no, 10. I must have been around 10. In the so in German, her name is spelled Hermine, which is a very old German name. I have a grandma from like 4 greats ago, like great-great-grand-great-grandma, who was called Hermine. But once I got the English books and I saw Hermione spelled there, I think I also pronounced Hermione. Yeah, Hermione. I think that's how I read it in my head, because I'd never seen that name and I've never heard it pronounced. So, yeah, for like 3 books or something, I completely mispronounced Hermione. So, yeah, you're not the only one. I think most people did. It's just a really obscure name, isn't it? Can't remember if you pronounce my name right. I don't know either. Was called Just Ice several times. I feel like the bar isn't that high sometimes. Just Ice. Nice. That's pretty good. I mean, whenever I pop into a stream, 98% of the time, if it's a native English speaker, it's 99% of the time, they mispronounce my name as Zeus instead of Zeiss. And if it's someone from Asia or someone from Europe, then there's like a 60% chance that they say it right. But even there, they often mispronounce it in some way. But it happens much, much, much less than with native English speakers. I wonder why. My pet peeve, by the way, texts. My pet peeve is seeing Americans spell wiener that way. So with an IE, you pronounce the second letter. Right? You pronounce the second letter. With the IEEI, it's always the second one in English that you should pronounce. So the top one, if you spell it that way, is pronounced Weiner. Weiner is someone who cries. The second one there is Wiener, and that's someone from Vienna. But yeah, it's just Americans switching those up regularly is really annoying to me. Even in their last names, man. They often do that. I mean, it shouldn't annoy me. It's German. It has, like, there's no reason why they should know how to pronounce those. It's not native to English, but it still annoys me. I did the same with Persephone. Persephone? Persephone is nice. Who just taught me more English in 30 years than he was an English speaker. I taught you German, essentially. Persephone. Persephone. Yeah, Persephone is what I said as a kid for a long time as well. And then I heard someone say Persephone, and I was like, Persephone? Ooh, that sounds so much better. I liked it. He said in English. I guess. So there's a German word for Hoover, right? Or vacuum cleaner. Which is Staubsauger. Dust sucker. Staubsauger. But as a kid, I could never get it right. And even right now, I almost made the same mistake. I flipped it around and I said Saubstauger, which is nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. Saubstauger is nothing. Staubsauger, Dustsucker, Saubstauger is bleh. But I always have to pause just for a second and just write it out in my head. And then read it out as I write it in my head. Otherwise, I'm gonna make the same mistake. And then when I was like 3 or 4 years old, for some weird reason, I couldn't say satellite dish, Satellitenschüssel. Satellite dish, same word, just, you know, word to word, same thing. Hi, Fusion. So instead of saying Satellitenschüssel, I said Gelatinenschüssel, which arguably is way, way harder to pronounce for a 4-year-old. Like, suddenly going French? The fuck? So I called a satellite dish a gelatin dish. I don't know. Those are the only two from my childhood I remember of saying shit wrong. Yeah. I still struggle to pronounce gelatin today. Yeah. Because, you know, it's a French loan word, and in French it's pronounced gelatine. Actually, I don't know if they pronounce the E at the end. In German, you would pronounce the E at the end, gelatine. But in French, it might be gelatine. I don't know. Let's find out.
Gelatine.
Gelatine. Alright, so they don't pronounce the E at the end. But in German, you do. Gelatine. At least you never called pedestrians Pedestrians? Pedestrians? just adding in a vowel there. Nice. I like it. That's cool. In terms of loan words, right? Since we're talking about gelatin, I really like the Japanese baitel. So the Japanese borrowed. They have actually a whole bunch of German words because pre-World War I we used to be. They asked us to come over and teach them medicine, for the most part. A bit of science, bit of engineering, but mostly medicine. So the entire health system in Japan is based on what the Germans taught them back then. Which means they also just adapted the German words for things. So, for example, your file in your patient file is in Japanese called katai, which is the German word katai, the same meaning. It's just a patient file, but yeah, they use that, and they also use baitel, which is a shortened version of aru baitel. And aru baitel is a Japanese pronunciation of the German word Arbeit. Arbeit means work, but aru baitel in Japanese means part-time work, while in German, Arbeit very specifically means full-time work. So yeah, they don't say they're not saying the full aru baitel anymore. They're now saying just baitel, which sounds like bite. I did that for you until I clicked. Ah. So Japan is German engineered. Yes. Have you been to Japan? No, not yet. I really, really want to. But it's very, very expensive. Hi, Bartek. Hello, buddy. You missed the reading portion of the stream. For the first hour of the stream, I read from Terry Pratchett's Mort. Have you eaten yet, Bartek? Since we got a place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. That's actually one of my favorite Christmassy winter songs. Let it snow. Not the not the Disney one, but this one. The what is it, James Dean or something? I was thinking of cooking some hot dogs. Hot dog! That's good. What did I have? I made an egg drop soup with Maultaschen. Maultaschen? Let me show you a picture. Maultaschen are kind of like a form of dumpling. Very German dumpling. From Swabia, specifically. Copy image link. Put that there. Get another image in here. Maultaschen. There we go. That's a Maultasche. Has like it looks green because of herbs and spices, but it's a meat filling. So it's a dumpling, very sturdy dumpling with meat filling. And you can either cut them up and fry them in a pan with butter, which is how I always used to eat it as a kid. And that's the traditional way. As you can see there, it's a soup thing. But I have started to enjoy them that traditional way, even though as a kid I never did. So today I made egg drop soup with dumplings, with some Maultaschen. Maul means maw, and Tasche is pocket. So maw pocket. My uncultured butt thought that was pasta at first. It is a pasta dough. And, I mean, yeah, it's kind of like a... It's closer to a tortellini than it is to a dumpling, if you know what I mean. It is a pasta dough filled with like a meat filling. It's super tasty. They taste really, really good. I had that, and I had 2 pretzels. Freshly baked. Justice, thank you! Thank you very much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. I had that. What did I have else? Was that it? I think that was it. We ruined dumplings here? How so? Fresh baked pretzels? I'm jealous! Okay, so you can buy frozen pretzels in supermarkets everywhere here in Germany. You usually get them in a pack of 8 or 10. I have one here that's about 10 pack costs me €2, which is roughly the price of what you pay for one pretzel at the bakery now. And I get 10 instead. So these are not par-cooked or pre-cooked or anything. These are just the dough, which is the hardest part about a pretzel, but flash frozen. So it's already in pretzel shape, frozen, and you just toss it into your oven or air fryer and you bake it. Is that really a German thing or Bavarian? Yes. Mm-hmm. Pretzels, yes. Pretzels, as far as I know, come from Bavaria. There's a story, a very old story, I think from like 1400s, 1500s, something like that, of the Brezenreiter. Brezen is how we say pretzel, and Reiter is a horseback rider. Like a rider, I guess. Or someone on horseback. So, pretzel rider. This was a baker who had a bakery at... You know what? Instead of doing this, let me just... 1300s, sorry. I was wrong. there's still someone who... Oh, shit. All right, so...
Fusion 45 gifted a tier 1 sub to Justice 9977. They have given 54 gift subs in the channel.
Thank you for gifting that sub. Thank you. Hold on, let me just scooch on over there. So, bit of history, but very briefly. Brezenreiter was a baker in around 1318 who, after the day was after the day sales were over, would take all the leftover pretzels that day that he would have to throw out normally, which is what every other baker did. He would put them in a basket and he would get on his horse and he would ride throughout Munich and give pretzels to the homeless and the needy and the starving. And he would do that every single day. And there is a really, really old beer hall that has a mural to him in one of the corners. Like the entire ceiling has like painted stuff in it, frescoes. And one corner has a dude on horseback giving out pretzels, which is the Brezenreiter. And as you can see here, they still do that nowadays. So, you know, now it's someone just essentially honoring him by quote-unquote impersonating him, I guess. But still doing it the same thing, right? Wears the same clothes that the guy would wear on horseback with a basket full of pretzels. And his bakery still exists today. Was founded in 1318. You can still go there today. That one is a picture's far too small. Ah, here we go. Here's an old wood cutting of the Brezenreiter on horseback, giving pretzels to the needy. And here's the fresco, right? That's the one I was talking about. So he is on his white horse, which I believe the German word for white horse is Schimmel, which means mold. And yeah, handing out pretzels. And yeah, so in Munich you can sometimes still see the Brezenreiter ride around and hand out pretzels. Not always. I think it's kind of like a event thing. But the bakery is at Viktualienmarkt, which is an old farmer's market, you could say. That's like a permanent farmer's market. And yeah, it's so I think the building, the original building doesn't exist anymore. That was bombed to shit in World War II. But in the same place, they have it. It's also very fancy now. Because Viktualienmarkt, despite being a farmer's market, is pretty much one of the most expensive places to buy anything from. The rent there is ridiculous. But yeah, there it is. Brezenreiter, pretzel rider, since 1318. Also, let me go to Stream Elements. And take off that timer. Chatbot, timers. Strinova, take that off. Nice. Okay. Because you said German supermarkets, I'm not sure if pretzels are that popular outside of Germany. Oh, it's sort of Bavaria. Oh, I don't know. I've had pretzels in Cologne. I've had them in Berlin. They're not as popular as they are in Munich, but I still see them everywhere. Just came by to say hi. Gonna go now. See you later. Bye, Bartek. Have a good one. Thank you for saying hi. Hope to visit some of these places you show us one day. That would be cool. If you do come by, Fusion, let me know. I'll show you around. You get them in northern Germany, no problem. Yeah. They're very popular in Bavaria, but yeah. Let's see what we can learn about the pretzel. What does Wikipedia say? All right. Started in the German-speaking medieval area, which nowadays is Germany, Alsace, Austria, Switzerland, and South Tyrol. Etymology-wise, it comes from the Latin brachium, which means the arm, because it kind of looks like you're crossing your arms in front of your chest, I guess. So since medieval times, the Bakers Guild, which would be Zunft in German, the Bakers Guild, its symbol for the guild is a pretzel. And if you want to become a licensed baker, that still has a pretzel on it as a symbol as well. Bakers Guild. Hey, we're talking medieval times here. No, there was a guild for everything in medieval times. Tailor's Guild, Baker's Guild, Pottery Guilds, Charcoal Guild, etc., etc. But pretty sure we like Zunft isn't Zunft what we call ständische Körperschaften und Handwerker nur seine Mittel. Yes, so okay. A Zunft is, if I'm reading this right, is indeed, as I thought, essentially a guild. We had the word Gilde. Oh, hold on. I'm going to read this in German because it says in German, then I'm going to translate. Seit dem Mittelalter und bis zur Industrialisierung im 19. Jahrhundert wurde der Zusammenschluss von Handwerkmeistern neben dem heute gängigen Begriff Zunft auch als Gilde, Gaffel, Amt, Einung, Innung oder Zeche bezeichnet. Heute bekennt der Wissenschaftler... Oh, okay, so it's actually the other way around. That's fascinating. So Zunft to me, to my ears, sounds way more medieval than guild does. But apparently, during medieval times, it wasn't called Zunft. It was called guild. So yes, it seems we still have a baker's guild nowadays. So if you want to be a master baker, that's an apprenticeship you need to do. Takes about 5 years to be a journeyman baker, I believe. And then it's after that, I think you have to do an exam or show something off, or I don't know, do some sort of test to prove that you are better than just a journeyman. You are now a bakery master, as it is with all the other apprenticeships that we have. And yeah, that's still the Bäckerzunft, which means the Baker's Guild. So yeah, we still have a guild. We have an electrician's guild. That much I know. Baker's Guild. A bunch of others, like blue-collar jobs for the most part, that have been around for a long time. Those are usually guilds. I'm in the Guild of Nail Technicians, which is 100% and so cool. Very cool. So, we don't know precisely who or where the pretzel was invented, but it was the Alsace, Germany, as in Bavaria, Austria, Switzerland area. So, you know, down where I live. The rough area, roughly where I is where it was invented. And, yeah. Essentially comes from here. Apparently invented in the year 743, so this was long before Germany. Was just a bunch of like small groups and states and stuff here. Hi, Shia. Bavarian pretzel, Bavaretzel? But a Bavarian pretzel is the pretzel. We invented the pretzel. It comes from here. Laugenbrezel is actually how we call it. Lauge is lye, which is what you dip a pretzel in to make it a pretzel. The thing is, Bavaretzel sounds wool, cool. I agree to disagree. Are crunchy pretzels authentic, or is it just soft ones? A proper pretzel should be... the bottom part is always thicker and has a slit in it. That part should have a crusty exterior and a soft interior. And then as you get smaller, it gets crunchier. So it's not all crunchy all throughout. It's not all soft throughout. It goes from fairly soft on the bottom to crunchy at the top. But you can also just go for light pretzels, which is soft throughout. Or a crunchy one, which is crunchy throughout. Yeah, there's different ways to make a pretzel. Yeah. So, really interesting here. If we look over here, this one is an example of a Bavarian pretzel. Note the slit that has to be cut in before they bake it. And the arms here are fairly thick, right? When you break these up, they're perfect for smearing some butter on there. Here is a Swabian pretzel. More pronounced slit. And very thin arms. So these are super crunchy. There's like no softness in them whatsoever. But in the Bavarian pretzel, there's still some softness inside. Yeah, lots of different ones. Here's a Blätterteig is pastry, I guess. So you know the dough, the layered dough, a croissant is made out of. It's kind of that. It's like a layered dough with a sugar nut paste, I guess. So you bake that. This is a sweet pretzel. Think of a cinnamon roll, but instead of cinnamon, it's a nut paste. And instead of a roll, it's a pretzel. That's what this is. Then we have this one. What is this? Almonds. Oh, this is a Russian pretzel is what they call it. Again, twisted and the layered dough. So not the lye dough, the traditional one, but more like a croissant. And has almond chips on it. This is this is a I'm trying to translate on the fly, but these specific like terms are super difficult to think of. Yeast, this is a yeast dough. Kind of like think of it like a yeasty donut. This is deep fried and then dipped in sugar. So this is kind of like a sugar donut in the shape of a pretzel, but out of a yeast dough. Very delicious. They're calling this one a burger pretzel. I think this is an abomination. This is clearly a Bavarian one. And, of course, there's these ones. Actually have sticks like these. So this is the same pretzel dough that we make pretzels out of, also lye dipped, but shaped like tiny, tiny, tiny pretzels. And so it's all crunch. This is kind of like chips, or not chips, crisps. Just something to snack on. So these are tiny, tiny, tiny. I've seen, so traditionally, the pretzel has these large salt chunks on them. But a lot of bakeries here in Munich also have a pepper pretzel, which instead of salt has pepper all over it. I tried it once and I thought it was disgusting. What makes a pretzel blasphemous? The one I just showed was a blasphemous pretzel. Wrong dough, wrong shape, wrong size, and used for a burger? Hell no. Wrong dough? Just everything wrong. Got a huge tub of sourdough pretzels. Nice. Those tiny pretzels are almost all I can find where I am. I like them as a snack every now and then. Oh, that's a great... Sorry, I just... Look at this dude. This is a statue of a pretzel baker called Burger. Burger, as you can see, is how, you know, you would pronounce it burger in English. But a burger, if you put like 2 dots above the U, so an umlaut U, it would become citizen. Burger is a citizen. But his name was Burger. Burg is a castle. So I have no idea why his last name was Burger, but maybe he lived next to a castle. Anyways, pretzel baker, Burger, bronze, or what is the copper statue? With a look at that awesome pipe, man. Look at that thing. All right, what does this say? Burger Brezelbäcker, gestiftet vom Verein, something Verein. Burg seines 100-jährigen Vereinsjubiläums, Jahr 1989. Von Unterstützung Stadtsparkasse Solingen. Okay, so some two. Oh, look at that. Restaurant Burger. Yeah, no idea. So this was in remembrance of, or in celebration of, some sort of Verein, which is, oh god, what is how do you translate Verein? Association or club. Becoming 100 years old. So they had that, but don't ask me why. I have no idea. This is the first time I'm seeing or hearing of this. But thought it was cool. Man, I kind of want to get another pretzel now. Actually, I have French salted butter in my fridge. So I could eat some buttered pretzels. Really bad for you, but delicious. I'm so jealous right now. The thing is, right, normally I'd say just make it yourself. And you absolutely can with a pretzel, but it's... you have to be really fucking precise. Because you have, so when you make the dough, towards the end of making the dough, after putting them, after shaping them, you have to dip them into a lye solution. You know, the caustic lye that you use for cleaning, that. You dip pretzels into that, and then you throw them in the oven. And the oven bakes off the causticness and the, you know, it makes it safe to consume. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, you gotta bake it at the right temperature for the right amount of time. Otherwise, it's not fun to eat. And, you know, wear gloves when you do that because, again, lye is caustic, so you don't want that on your hands. That's what makes a pretzel, is the lye dip. You can make pretzels, you can make anything pretzel shaped that's doughy, but a real pretzel has to be dipped in a lye solution. There's a rather cozy living room in the back there, fine sir. Thank you, thank you. I made that in Unreal Engine. Must be a fortune for rent where you live. Well, I inherited it from my cat. Or something. I don't know. Oh yeah, I made that background in Unreal. Was my first attempt at, you know, building a level of some sort. No lie, you need the lie. Yup. So now I'm scared of pretzels. You don't have to be. Perfectly safe to consume. It's fine. They wouldn't be sold if they were dangerous. There is... I don't know how true this is. There's many a myth on why pretzels are dipped in a lye solution. But the one I heard that I like the best is that a local lord who was taxing the peasantry something fierce wanted to impress some guests or was bored with the usual offerings from the bakers in the morning and demanded that one of the bakers would make him something new. I've heard a variation of this where the lord just had not settled his debt with the baker and just kept ordering more and more stuff and just never paying him. Either way, the baker was pissed off, is the whole point. So, baker's pissed off and says, oh yeah? You want something new? Alright, I got something new. And he comes up with the pretzel shape and then decides, you know what? Fuck you, dude. I'm gonna murder you. I'm gonna kill you. And he dipped the pretzels in the bucket he uses for cleaning. Which is, you know, instead of soap, lye, as was common back then. So just a bucket of water with lye in it that they used for cleaning. He dipped the pretzels in that and thinking that, you know, this is gonna kill the Lord. So he bakes them and he sends them up to the castle. And the Lord tries them and is fascinated by both the color and the shape and the taste, and he wants more. And the baker is surprised that the Lord didn't die and tried it himself and was like, holy shit, this is great. So yeah, that's one of the creation myths of the pretzel. No one really knows the actual one just because it's like, again, 763, I think it was, right? It's a long time ago. I have a feeling my fingers again no longer a walking static. Ooh, you're healing up. Nice. Really? Are you sure? I mean, in the UK, I would be concerned, kitten, but here, you know, in the European Union, I think we're pretty safe. We got good consumer protections and strict regulations on what's healthy and not healthy to eat and what can be sold. You would know that if you remained in the EU, but alas. The shade! I mean, I'm throwing shade and I'm obviously just joking around, but I'm also kind of right, to be honest with you. All the EU protections on food safety and product safety and consumer protections all thrown out the window when they left the EU. We can eat fucking raw pork here called Met. So yeah. Oh yeah, I should show that one off. So a dearly beloved dish here in Germany, everywhere in Germany actually, is Met. Met is raw minced pork mixed with some spices and raw onions on a bread roll. Like that. Let me get smaller. Sit over here. So, right here. Bread roll, raw minced pork with spices, raw onions on top. Nom away. Eat that shit. However, in in North Rhine-Westphalia, they make a thing called a Met-Igel, which is a Met hedgehog. They shape a bunch of Met into the form of a hedgehog, and they stick the onion wedges in it, and like the spokes, the prickly bits on a hedgehog. And you bring that in the morning when you go for brunch or something. So you know these are usually too big to eat by yourself. So these are brought along when you have multiple people over for like breakfast or brunch. Also, it's to be consumed in the morning when it's the freshest, and our meat testing is very, very rigorous. So the only specific kind of cut of the pork is allowed to be turned into Met, and is only allowed to be displayed for a certain amount of time, and has to be consumed fairly fast. But man, when I one of the schools I went to, there was a butcher right next to it on the way there, and they had Met Brötchen or Met Semmel. Brötchen is bread roll. Semmel is the Bavarian word for Brötchen. They had Met there, and I would just in the morning I would always get one and eat that on the way to school as my breakfast. It's freaking delicious. Nom 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 nom. Also, is that a Museum of Modern Met? it's a Facebook link, so I'm not gonna click on it, but that's hilarious. I wonder if that's supposed to be a crocodile, a monster, or a pig. But it's got teeth and it's got a long nose. It's so, honestly, it's so weird to do this stuff. Ernie and Bert! Ernie and Bert, and here's a frog. Here's a Met man. Here's a... Is that a bear? I don't know. A run over a hedgehog with ketchup as blood. Oh my god. The tire tracks out of onion. Oh my god. And that's it has to be black olives for eyes. Who comes up with this shit? Hilarious. Please cook it. Is it cured like steak tartare? No. No, it's just raw pork. Raw pork and spices. That's it. Spices are usually salt, pepper, cumin. And then everybody has, you know, one or two other things they add in there. Everyone has a different recipe for it. But the main three spices are salt, pepper, cumin. I think fennel seeds, rarely sometimes used, but yeah. All the mortars have to be awkwardly patted down by Zeiss before being installed to be checked for lethal weapons. This tradition was only broken when Zeiss was made deeply uncomfortable by Cosmic Hitter's massive hog.
The moderators have to be awkwardly patted down by Zeiss before being installed to be checked for lethal weapons. This tradition was only broken when Zeiss was made deeply uncomfortable by Cosmic Kitten's massive hog.
Oh yeah, paprika. That's the other one. That's the other important one. Paprika. Here's vegan met. Half a teaspoon of paprika powder, 100 grams of rice waffles, 200 to 300 milliliters of water, 3 tablespoons of tomato paste, 1 tablespoon of oil, 1 chopped small onion, 1 pinch of smoked salt, salt and pepper, however much you like. And there you have vegan met. Here's Rittersport, one of the most famous chocolates we have, with a limited Twitter edition. Met! Smoked salt? Have you never had smoked salt, Fusion? Smoked salt is amazing. But you only use very little because it's very strong. Not that I know of. So, you can just buy smoked salt there from anywhere. Like Amazon or the other shops. It's literally sea salt or rock salt put into a smoker for a certain period of time. And so it completely infuses with the smoke smell. Like, usually it's hickory smoke. So if you want to add a bit of smokiness to a dish without using liquid smoke, you can just get salted smoke. I think the Vikings invented it. Let's see what English Wikipedia says, and then let's check German Wikipedia. Smoked salt. I'm pretty sure smoked salt comes from the Vikings. Smoked salt is an aromatic salt smoked with any number of select bark-free woods for up to 14 days. Most common choices: alder, applewood, hickory, mesquite, and oak. Infused smoked salts like smoked bacon, chipotle sea salt are very popular because of the dynamic flavor profiles. Yeah, you don't want to use the smoked salt like you would use regular salt to salt a dish. You want to use it just as its own ingredient. Yes, it is salt, but you don't use it like salt. Again, very, very strong flavor. Let's see. Rauchsalz. Rauchsalz, hickory salz, or smoked salt. Yeah, most usually hickory salt. Anyways, actually I have a bag of smoked salt here. I don't use it often, but I like it. It's good. Learn so much about food in these streams. Food is a fun topic. We all gotta eat all the time anyways, right? The only reason why we all work is because we need to buy food. I mean, you're even if you don't pay your rent, your apartment will still be there, right? It doesn't just disappear. You're gonna get kicked out, sure, but the apartment will still be there. But with food, if you don't got money, you don't got food. Unless you grow it yourself or you catch something. Or you steal something, I guess. But yeah, I think if we didn't have... If we had a way to create food, to procure food, where manual labor is just not part of it anymore, or really any kind of labor. Think Star Trek. Replicators. Then yeah, the need for working would gradually go away until we wouldn't need money anymore. Wait, what? Anyways, Kitten, if you ever come here, you gotta try some met. Met is great. Oh, you know what? I wanted to do something. Uh... 4 years, Bandit, right? Mr. Bandit? 4 years?
Turn your attention, ladies and gentlemen, to a legend among us, the Bandit. 4 years, yes, 4 illustrious years of steadfast subscription to this channel. A figure of unparalleled loyalty, carving his place in the annals of streaming history. Through the highs, the lows, and everything in between, the Bandit remains a stalwart companion. Truly, a testament to the enduring spirit of dedication. A round of applause is not merely deserved, it is required.
Yes! That's what I wanted to do earlier, but I was still reading. Hell yeah, dude! If you're going to ram raw pork down my throat, I'm staying well away. Well. I'm not gonna say anything. Ha! Anyways. Raw pork is great, but only here. I would never, ever, ever even consider looking at raw pork. Well, in a different country. The only place where I would, you know, eat raw pork is here. Nowhere else. We're talking about food. Yeah, we were just been talking about pretzels and the history of pretzels. And then we were talking about met, which is raw minced pork on a bread roll with raw onion. And some spices like salt, pepper, cumin, paprika. What else? I think food-wise, that's pretty much everything we've talked about so far. Eating raw onion ain't normal, but on met it is. Dude, I chomp down on an onion like I did on an apple. I love me some onions. But I'm unlikable, as I've been told. I disagree, Dino. Eating raw onion makes my stomach question why I hate it. Damn. Sounds like quite the upset stomach. Get it? Because it questions you. But it's also hurting. Eh? That was so bad. So Dino needs to be celebrated. Yup. Dino does. 48 months as well. Fusion.
Fusion Tech 45 gifted a tier 1 sub to Fairyface_. They have given 55 gift subs in the channel.
Okay. Dino. Give me, tell me 1 or 2. Which number do you prefer? Number 1! Alright, number 1 you get. Taiwan number 1.
Gather round, one and all, for a moment of unparalleled recognition for the incomparable Dr. Dino. Not only a loyal subscriber for 4 magnificent years, but also a vigilant moderator, a true guardian of this community. Through trials and tribulations, Dr. Dino has faced the rabble with fortitude, ensuring this channel remains a haven of joy and camaraderie. A cornerstone of our success and a paragon of dedication. Dr. Dino, we salute you.
A salute indeed. A salute indeed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh man. This is a fun stream. Very different from what I usually do. But I've been thinking a paragon of dedication. Absolutely. Hey, that's what voiceover John thinks of you. So, yeah. I've been thinking that I should be doing more just chatting streams because I really enjoy them. And they're just good fun and chill, and it's a good vibe, and I can fully focus on chat, which is really difficult to do with some of the games I play. At least I'm here more often than that. Yeah, true. True. Or Jonas, for that matter. But yeah, this is another thing I noticed, that every time I moderate a regular, like, not even 2 weeks later, they pretty much stop coming to my streams entirely. It's only very rarely that hasn't happened. RIP? Yeah, so if you're a regular, and you have been here a long time, and I haven't modded you, it's because I don't want to lose you. I didn't! You disappeared for a long time, kitten! I don't hold it against you, it's perfectly reasonable. Considering everything you had going on, but you know, the timing-wise, it fit right in. I would do, but I can't until you let my family go. Well, I mean, so far it's working, right? So they're fine. They're fine. I gave them an extra inch of chain today, so you know, they're not quite as tied up anymore. Mod means work, not on my channel. I feel attacked. Don't. Don't. I fully understand. It is just coincidence that happens. Also, just real life is more important than a random stream from a randomest dude. Real life should always take precedent over, you know, moderating a chat that really doesn't need moderation most of the time. I joined the stream a week ago and still... Yeah, no, kitten, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm pulling your leg. It's all good. MFC going pop for me, not being here, and other reasons. It's fair. That's fair. There's not much to mod if all the chatters are mods themselves. Very true, yeah. Question for all. What would a world populated by clones of you be like? Oh my god. That would quickly go to shit because no one would want to work. And if it's all us, then no one would stop us from not working. So I think a couple of my clones would be like, ah, fuck it, let's just try and keep at least like one electricity station on so we can, you know, keep using the computer. But for the most part, everything would go to shit real quick. World would end, something would blow up. Cottagecore, pure survival. True. True. You know what? I think a bunch of us would just tear down city blocks and turn them into green spots to grow vegetables and plants on. Yeah, go. I like the idea of cottagecore. Hell yeah. I would not want to live in a world populated by clones of me. Oh yeah. The good thing is they would probably all leave each other alone and just occasionally meet up or something, or just say hi. But at least at least I wouldn't have to live with myself all the time. Literally. I think some of us would try to learn how to keep the world the way it is now because games are sick. Yeah, I agree. Populated by clones of me would just be all out dick-swinging ego war, or they'd be fucking each other because, you know, ego. Interesting. But yeah, generally I think it's a pretty bad idea to populate an entire world with just clones of me. Then again, are we talking about clones in the sense of biologically clones? As in, you know, same genes, but they could all have different upbringings? Or are we talking about actual metaphysical...
Breaking news. Have you seen Cosmic Kitten? He was last seen ages ago and has not been seen since. He was supposed to be modding the stream as is expected of the mods, but has neglected this responsibility. The only explanation for this, according to friends and family, is that they are kidnapped, dead, or very lazy. If you have any tips on their whereabouts, DM Dino for a meager reward.
DM Dino for a meager reward. That's nice. Ah, that's good. Yeah, if it's a metaphysical clone, as in we all have the same memories, the same upbringing, everything, then the world will go to shit. If we're all just biological clones, there's a chance the world might survive a touch longer. Holly asked that, should we be concerned of AI's plans for us? Holly pulled that question from a question either I got from the internet or written up or had an AI write for me. Yes, Dino knows I'm a dude. The only way I would accept clones of me is if they had a built-in kill switch to disable the ones that go crazy. It's called a bullet fusion. You can find them in lots of places. See, New York United Health CEO. His kill switch was triggered too. Because he was going crazy. But bullets can miss. Depends on the distance. A pill of C4 implanted in the brain and whatnot. Yeah, sorry. A pill of C4 implanted in the brain won't. Yes. Fair. Can we keep Musk? We can if we take all his money away. We, like not just his liquid assets, but his you know, theoretical assets, his debt that he leverages against to make money, so he won't have to spend his actual money. We take all of that away. He gets nothing. Then yes. Then we can keep him. A lot of only my clones would be very efficient, very practical, and the fact that none of them have sex wouldn't be an issue because they're all clones to reproduce. Yeah, yeah. If they're copies of me, the world would no longer have homeless, hunger, as I stand by that home, food and health are right all should have. I agree. He'd be funnier, a broken street preacher. Exactly. But we gotta make it so that, you know, when he keeps spouting his bullshit, and essentially becomes an influencer, he is still not allowed to make any money off of that. He can work, let's say, he can be a plumber. I don't think he can do too much damage there. He can, if he needs money to survive, he can work as a plumber, or a landscaper maybe. Maybe a roofer. That would be good. But, yeah, he's not allowed to make any sort of money or invest any sort of money. Yeah, he's no longer allowed to invest. And, any money he might make off of social media networks from, like, ads and sponsorships and stuff, goes towards charities that he's vehemently against. Then yes, then he can just be yet another one of the crazies spouting bullshit on the internet and can be ignored or laughed at. My clones would keep him as a pet, maybe in a fish tank. He can be the fish tank cleaner. I'm out of tea. I kind of want another tea. Just a phone with unlimited data for the lols. Yes, good idea. My world would have gorgeous nails. Oh yes, it would have. I think nails would become a currency in your world. You don't need money anymore. You just need to show off how dope your nails are, and then your clones will be like, damn, that's some good nails! And you get the stuff whatever you need. That's totally what you sound like, too. Anyways, I'm gonna make a cup of tea real quick. I'll be right back.
Hi, chat. Now that Zeiss is gone, could I interest you in the gospel of Scientology? It's not a religion. It's a social gathering structure based in science, threats of violence, and illegal exploitation of people. If you're interested, simply send all your money. This endorsement of Scientology was sponsored by the Zeiss on twitch.tv.
Okay, I am back. Now that this is gone, could I interest you in the Gospel of Scientology? Oh, fuck off, Dino! It's not a religion. It's a social gathering structure based in science, threats, and violence. Not just threats of violence, also actual violence. Nobody snitched. I mean, I can literally see it highlighted in red right there. I tried. Clearly not hard enough. Also, I heard it, partially at least, through my headphones. I heard just the John voice going off, and I heard, now that Zeiss is gone, and then the rest I couldn't hear, because I'd stepped out. But I knew someone had triggered it. Alright, so, Cosmic Kitten 92, since you said art would be your currency, I actually remembered something I'd completely forgotten about. And that is a couple years ago, I hung out with a comic book artist, and he had a friend over, and his friend was doing some world building, and had been world building for like 6 years straight, with the goal of, like, not just surface level world building. This was like really in-depth Silmarillion levels of world building. And so he was there to, because he wanted to do a comic book in that world. That's, you know, what he did with the comic book artist I visited there. Yeah, so you know, they were together, they were sketching out ideas and discussing it, and asked me if I had some ideas and input as well, and so we did all some world building together. And there were dwarves and stuff in this world, but it was spacefaring civilizations, and, you know, going between planets and steamships in space. It was wild, but really cool. And he said that he hadn't really developed the dwarves yet, and he had no idea for it. And I was really inspired. I had a bunch of ideas for the dwarves. Because he likes to go against the grain. I thought, why not just, you know, why not make the dwarves obsessed with art? Like the Japanese used to be in, oh god, when was that? The 1100s, or even earlier than that, I think. At some point in Japanese history, they were completely obsessed with art and poetry. And the entire country kind of stopped developing because everybody was just writing poems and doing art and shit. But I kind of took that as an inspiration and thought, why don't you make the dwarves be all about art and craftsmanship? And, like, that's what they value. That's how their society works, is by creating art. Art is their currency. And learning new skills or honing your craft and stuff, that's, you know, that's what they value and what they strive for. And, you know, we discussed this at length. I think we met up at like 4 or 5 p.m. and I went home around 1 a.m. So yeah, lots of discussions and stuff, but that was really, really cool fun. And I'm kinda yoinking some of those ideas I had for my own world building I'm doing. Zeiss is the fastest man alive, that's why he doesn't have a girlfriend anymore. You're actually not wrong. At least with my last girlfriend, I was the quickest shot in the history of quick shots. But that was also a first for me. Damn! Yeah. At least in the beginning, yeah, the first couple days. Okay, but Yax was so fucking hot though. Yes, that's why it was such a quick shot, man. Why the fuck do you think? Hottest woman I've ever been with. Completely distracting in so many ways. And, yeah. Anyways. I kinda lost interest in sex after that, to be honest with you. I could straight up just, nah, I think I'm over it. Oh shit, no, don't pull that thread. No. Oh, there we go. Good. Whew. I would think it's a compliment. I wish she would too. But she didn't. Oh well. Let's see. Let's pull another question. Because I've added a whole bunch more. Where is it? Pull a random question. There it is. What's the most overrated product out on the market? iPhones! Fucking iPhones. Immediately. Really any Apple product is so severely fucking overrated. It's ridiculous. I'm not saying that they're bad products or not useful. They're good products that are useful, but they are so overrated. The prices they charge, my god. You want a compliment from me? My erotic manga lied to me! Oh no! You're lucky that I don't have a bonk emotes. Should I bring back some of the old Holly? Oh, they're not emotes per se. They're, you know, do you guys remember the smoothie? Or going to a room, or going into a bush, or checking your compatibility with someone, all that stuff. Like the Holly commands, I guess. I would wager any new automobile? Hey, look at that! I mispronounced something too! In a weird way. Hey, automobile. But why do you write automobile? Just car. I would wager any new car is overrated for the prices they're selling at. Yes, I agree. I'm old! I mean, we say automobile in German as well. But we usually shorten it to just auto. Ein Auto. Automobil. Auto. So we don't say car, we say auto. Here your iPhone and I raise you Teslas. Yeah. You know what? You know what's even more overrated than Teslas? Is Tesla stock. Holy shit. I'm trying to think of something even more mainstream than Apple that doesn't really live up. Please don't bring back the lick one. Josh will be all over that. Ooh, girl, you did real good. Oh, the lick one was so good. The vroom vrooms, yes. Damn, Fairy, you did real good. Face lick. Do you guys even know what I'm referring to? Nvidia stock is also overrated. I wish I had bought Nvidia stock when I gave someone the advice that they should buy Nvidia stock. That was like in 2010. And I told my uncle, I was talking to my uncle, I told my uncle, because he was asking me what kind of tech companies might be interesting in terms of like investing in, is that go invest in Nvidia and just sit on it for a couple years. I should have done the same back then. I would be a fucking millionaire now. Holy shit. I always do that though. Like, I got 10 full bitcoins when they first came out. I mined 2 of them myself. That's how early I was. And then I lost them all. And then I got into Doge. And I had accumulated 30,000 Doge coins. And then I lost them all. Because I just don't remember the passwords or where I saved them or where I put them. Honestly, I should have just printed the wallet address and the passwords on a piece of paper and stuck it in a folder. That's what I should have done. Terrible OPSEC. But who's gonna break into my fucking apartment to, like, search through my folders for that stuff? No, instead I just kept it on some random hard drive in some random place, and it's just gone. I would literally be a millionaire now if I still had those 10 bitcoins. 100k per bitcoin. I had 10 of them. Actually 10 and a couple more, like 10.71 or something. Did the same with my pension. Can't remember where I saved it. Damn. Anyone who hypes up the Hyperloop, their opinion can be immediately discounted. Yep. Like Christmas. Speaking of the elongated muskrats. Yes. Oh, that's right, the Hyperloop. Right. I mean, in terms of like sci-fi, a gargantuan vacuum tube that circles a city. If you need to go from the outer edges to the inner edges, that certainly makes sense. And I guess you could, technically, you could have some branches so it goes spiraling inwards. It certainly would be fast. And if you need to go city to city too, but like the not just the cost of building that underground, but the cost of maintaining that. And how catastrophical a failure would be is insane. You can survive a train crash. You will not survive a Hyperloop rapid decompression crash event. Feliz Navidad. I have no idea what you're talking about. So, Elon Musk is obsessed with the idea of building a tube ring that is in a vacuum. It's the size of a subway. And you have carts in there. And I think with magnetic levitation or some other form of levitation, just, you know, no friction, you shoot passenger carts through the Hyperloop. And because it's in a vacuum, and because there's no wheels, you have ridiculous acceleration. And you can go from, like, LA to New York in, like, I don't know, fucking 3 hours or something. You go hypersonic in those things. But the cost of engineering that is astronomical, even with his funds. And a failure, which will absolutely happen if you look at Tesla cars, it would be so stupendously hard to fix, and so expensive, and so deadly. So, yeah. Honestly, just build more train tracks. It costs less, and you get way more useful stuff out of it, because it's not just passengers it will transport. Of the big goofball, never a dull day. Yeah. Single crack would decommission the entire fucking line. Yup. And an electric failure coupled with that could mean that you get instant or close to instant braking. Right? Let's say there's a leak in one of the tunnels, and the cart gets, I don't know, sucked towards it or something, and you just crash. If you're going hypersonic, man, you're gonna be just gel inside. The people will just turn into straight up gel from the rapid deceleration. So yeah, not great, not great. How the fuck do you make perfect sealing gaskets? Anything but that and explosive compression forces hit doors of your train every time you open. Yeah, you would. I don't know. You would have to, like, when they come into a station, you would have to have like some sort of airlock system, but that means moving parts, and that means you would depressure the entire line again, right? How do you keep a vacuum there? I have no idea. I'm not an engineer, but I can think of an easy or cheap way to do that. That is, you know, fail-proof for the most part, which it would have to be. Like NASA space levels of fail-proof. As if we thought cars were too safe, so we put a fucking nuke in everyone to power it. Nice. Unprivatize our railways. Yes, please, here too. Please, Deutsche Bahn. Fucking, unprivatize that shit. I hate it. It's so bad. Wish they would build a non-government space station for people to move to already. I mean, Musk could commission that today with his fucking $300 billion in net worth. How much did the ISS cost to produce? Like 5 billion or something? How expensive was the ISS? Oh, okay. Cost as of 2010 over the entire length of this thing, and that includes the cost of personnel up there. 150 billion. That's very expensive. Not a lot of companies would have the capital to invest into that. I can see Apple jumping on board with their almost 1 trillion or whatever the fuck. But I mean, yeah, he could do it. He's not gonna. Yeah. As of 2010, so add another 15 years. Yeah. So it's expensive. ESA, how much does it cost? The cost of the International Space Station, including development, assembly, and running cost over 10 years, comes to 100 billion euros. So a 10-year period, but also that includes the construction and all of that, is 100 billion. So if it's 150 as of 2010, it's probably closer to 200 billion by now. Now that it's being decommissioned. I just want my Ebon Hawk starship already. I'm done with Earth living. I would not want to be in anything space related that Musk had his hands in. I'm not super fond of living, but I'm not that fond of dying either, so no. Can you imagine? How long have we... Oh, I've been going almost 3 hours. Holy shit. How would you know if you're fond of dying? Have you tried it? Maybe. Let's see. Oh, Rico. Rico is doing makers and crafting. Ooh. Crafting, eh? What's she crafting? Oh, tiny little foxes. That's so cute. Look at that. Look at that. She's doing cute fox stuff. Toladen. Is it Toladen or is it Toladen? Hi, what are we doing? We're ending the stream. That's what we're doing. We've been going for 3 hours.
How are we doing underscore?
In the Toladen. Right, okay. I'll just call you Adam. We in the beginning of this stream, I read about 100 pages from Terry Pratchett's Mort, which this book right here. I read from that, and then for the last 2 hours we've just been sitting here and chatting away about pretzels and raw meat and Elon Musk's idiocy. But yeah, I'm gonna love Terry Pratchett. Yeah, me too. You can go back into the VOD and check the beginning if you want to. It was very, very spontaneous. I felt all gamed out, so I didn't wanna play games on stream today. So I decided very spontaneously, I'm just gonna read something from Terry Pratchett. And I think I'm gonna do that more often now. Not necessarily always Terry Pratchett, but just, you know, reading some stuff from some books. Because that was fun. Right. We're gonna go and give Rico, again, she's crafting something fun. Let's give her a raid. I hope you all had a wonderful time today. I did. This was a really, really fun stream. I had a blast. I hope you did too. I will be back, what is it, tomorrow or something like that? Tomorrow, maybe the day after, I don't know. But I wanna watch Hogfather, everybody together tomorrow evening around 8 p.m. or so. I'm gonna announce that on Discord itself as well, but just as a heads up to you guys, if you want to join on in around 8-ish p.m., let's watch Hogfather. But yeah, that's it for now. Thank you for watching. Take good care of yourselves. Be excellent to each other. Many smooches on all of your pretty